إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. Its central thesis, its introduction, is the idea that Surah Al Fathiha, Surah Al Fathiha, the surah we recite every day, has the cure for all our problems. That is the argument that Ibn Qayyim makes. He says, you've got physical problems, you've got mental issues, you've got family issues, it doesn't matter. Surah Al Fatiha contains the cure, believe it or not. If only you understood it well, and if only you were able to implement it in depth. How on earth is 7 verses going to fix the problems of humanity? You might ask and you might wonder. Ibn Qayyim starts by explaining that Surah Al-Fatiha begins with 4 names of Allah. And he says that all the names of Allah can come under these 4. Who can tell me the 4 names of Allah in Surah Al-Fatiha? Rabb, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Malik or Malik. You guys missed the first one. Allah, La ilaha illallah. So Allah, Ar-Rabb, Ar-Rahman, Al-Malik or Al-Malik. These 4 names is a summary of who Allah is. And if you deeply internalize this in your life, these 4 names, it will erase and remove the vast majority of your issues in life. Something interesting that before I continue Surah Al-Fatiha, we have to go on a few tangents here and there. Something interesting that you note from about 1950 onwards, when the soul was removed from the picture, you started to see a lot of self-development books. Books about habits, books about 7 habits, Atomic Habits, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, all of these classic books about how to become a better person. In all of these books, you'll notice something. There's no discussion about the soul. The soul doesn't exist. It's all about waking up early and exercising and smiling at people and having good conversations and putting your alarm close to the toilet. All of this nonsense. Apparently this is going to make you a better person. Forget about the soul. The problem lies. There's a book by a gentleman called Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a Jewish victim who was tortured in the Auschwitz concentration camps by Adolf Hitler. And he was tortured for years and years and years and years. And when he came out of his torture and out of his imprisonment, he wrote this book called Man's Search for Meaning. In the summary of this book, he says, you know what? It wasn't a habit or a therapy or a tablet I took that made me feel better about the 40 years of torture and destruction that I experienced. It was one thing that helped me out of all of this. It was realizing that everything that happened to me, there was a reason and a wisdom and a meaning behind it. Now he's looking at it from the lens of the soul, not the lens of the mind, not the lens of mechanics, not the lens of politics. He's realizing, he's reading it, the reading of a soul. This book, Man's Search for Meaning. And this is why we say, coming back to Surah Al-Fatiha, 4 names of Allah have the solutions to all of our problems. The first name, Allah, makes us realize that the only one we should be turning to and worshipping and devoting our time and attention to and looking to please is not people, it's not career progression, it's not this, it's not that, it's not money. It is the one who created and fashioned us and the one who we'll return to. Allah's name Ar-Rahman gives meaning to every difficulty you ever face in your life. Because you realize the one who put you in the difficulty, the one who gave you cancer, the one who gave you financial issue, the one who made you lose sleep, he loves you more than your mother loves you. It completely changes the meaning of the difficulty that you went through. Ar-Rabb. Ar-Rabb reminds you that just as a farmer plants a seed and pours water on the seed, and the sunlight and the greenhouse nurtures the seed so that it grows to its full potential, Allah, every moment of your life, was looking after you and watching your back. Al-Malik or Al-Malik reminds you that no matter what you possess in this world, it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to Allah. And these 4 names of Allah, if one truly internalizes them, Ibn Qayyim says, this will rid you and remove from you the vast majority of pain you feel in your life. The fact that you still feel the level of pain that you feel means you haven't internalized them yet. Go back to them and revisit them again. He then says that إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ and إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. It is only you we worship and only you we ask for help. That this line summarizes the entire Qur'an. And this line is the statement that every prophet was sent to bring people towards and call them towards. He says that إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ and إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ removes all spiritual illnesses from your heart. Whether it's arrogance, whether it's envy, whether it's anger, whether it's ego. He said everything can be removed by internalizing إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. How is that possible? He says, half of all the spiritual diseases that you can imagine, all the amrad al-qulub that you can imagine, can be removed by إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, by realizing it is only Allah that I worship, I devote my time to, I devote my attention to. Only He can reward me, only He can give me, only He can take from me. Because the vast majority of people put their trust and their hopes and their anger and their investment in people, in outcomes, in wealth, in things. But إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ means you're fully invested only in Allah and you're expecting everything only from Him and you see nothing but His actions, nothing else. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ removes from you the most dangerous of all diseases of the heart. Who can tell me what is the most dangerous, the most lethal of all the diseases of the heart? More specific than shirk? Ar-Riya. It is the desire to be seen by people instead of being seen by Allah. For me to stand up and pray, but to pray because I want Fulan to watch me pray. For me to give sadaqah because Fulan is watching me. For me to be addicted to the eyes of the people. This is the greatest of all diseases because this takes you. You are one step away from making these other people or these other things, you're making them equal to Allah. And that is the unforgivable sin. And you are on the edge at this point. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ fixes riya. It fixes this idea of needing the eyes of others, the attention, the validation of others, because you are trained and focused and thinking about only one thing. The one I devote myself to is the one who created and fashioned me. Only He can reward me and take from me. Someone else mentioned arrogance. This is the other most dangerous spiritual disease. Ibn al-Qayyim says there's the two most dangerous diseases is the desire to be seen by people and arrogance and pride. إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ rids you of arrogance and pride because you realize and you internalize, no matter what happens, I'm dependent upon Allah. From the day that my nappies were being changed and I could not even do that myself, to the day I am old and I will need help to walk, I will always remain dependent in between. And that is what إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ means. Oh Allah, I will always need you, no matter who I am, where I am, or what I am. I'm always and constantly in need of you. And Ibn al-Qayyim says, if you only internalize this, and if you only understood this, you would stop venting to people. يَسْتَخْفُونَ مِنَ النَّاسِ وَلَا يَسْتَخْفُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ. They fear people and they don't fear Allah. إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. I only vent and complain of my distress to Allah. He says, if you look back at the prophets before you, you will realize their strength did not come from bodybuilding. Their strength came from, I'll only complain to Allah. I only turn to Allah. I know I only need Allah. From the dua that Musa makes when he arrives in Madian. Who remembers the dua Musa makes when he comes in Madian? Alayhi salam. رَبِّ إِنِّي لِمَا أَنزَلْتَ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٍ. Oh Allah, I need you. Just whatever you give me, I need you. That's إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. What does Ibrahim alayhi salam say when he's inside the fire? حَسْبِيَ اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. That's إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Oh Allah, I need you. I'm stuck. Where will I go? What does Yusuf alayhi salam say in the well? And Yunus alayhi salam say in the whale? What does Yunus alayhi salam say in the whale? لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت إياك نعبد سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين إياك نستعين. You will see the same formula repeated again and again and again. It is the acknowledgement that I have no objective, no interest in nothing, in nobody except Allah, and that I need Him, I depend on Him, I'm helpless without Him. And if you really digested this, your whole life would change. Ibn al-Qayyim then mentions something interesting. He says the real journey, the real path, is the path of the soul. from the day Allah created the soul and announced, am I not your Lord, until the day the soul will return to Allah. The real journey is the journey of the soul. However, the journey of the soul can feel very lonely, because the vast majority of people are not living the life of the soul, they are living the life of the body. The vast majority of people are eating, sleeping, reproducing, akramakumullah, defecating. That's their life, the life of animals. It's a physical life, it's all about the body. There's no acknowledgement, no approach, no attempt to fulfill anything greater, anything deeper than that. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, when he talks about this, he says, the vast majority of people are living the life of animals. And so sometimes when you're trying to feed the soul, you feel very lonely. I'll give you an example. One day you meet up with a bunch of your friends. You're in your late 20s, you're in your 30s. Your friends have progressed in their careers. One's talking about buying a house, the other one's talking about cryptocurrency, third one's talking about the football match they watched last week, the fourth one's talking about the movie that they want to watch on the weekend. Everyone is obsessed with some worldly desire they want to fulfill, or some kind of progression they've been sold is a kind of progression, and you're sat there thinking, I don't have a house, I don't have a car, I haven't progressed materially, I don't have a fancy this or a fancy that, but I just finished Surah Al-Ahqaf last week, and these guys don't know the buzz that gives me. You feel alone because you're on a different journey. You are on a very different journey, the journey of the soul. And this is why Ibn Qayyim says, when Allah says, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, oh Allah, guide us to this journey of the soul. Guide us not to be obsessed with the material world and the body, but guide us to the journey of the soul. When you feel lonely, you then say, Sirat al-ladhina an'amta alayhim, the path that all those people you blessed, they are all on. There's loads of people on the same path as me. Even if I don't see them, I'm not alone. And that's why Ibn Qayyim says, one of the therapies of Surah Al-Fatiha is removing your feeling of loneliness by making you realize you may feel lonely on this path of the soul. You may be saying no to your friends, no to your colleagues, no to so many things, and instead prioritizing the Qur'an, prioritizing the worship of Allah, and you feel so lonely on this path. He says, don't worry, you are not alone. Do you know how many prophets have walked your path? Do you know how many righteous people have walked your path? They too felt alone, but they were with Allah, and so He rid them of their loneliness.